You don't have tone unless you have. And we are live. It is Sunday, June the 9th. Had to look at the calendar as usual. I'm Ben, hanging out with my good friend Adam Reiver of FU Tone. You don't have tone unless you have FU Tone.
That is catchy.
I try. So you've been a busy man since, we were talking off air. It's been a year ago tonight that we did our first hangout together, and then spent some time catching up at NAMM. You helped me get to NAMM, which was awesome as well. And man, you've been on the go this year, 2019. It's been crazy.
Hasn't stopped. Has not stopped. A lot of running, a lot of guys. Just a lot of partnerships with other companies. So it has me traveling a lot more people coming in. The artist roster is growing. It's an adventure.
Well, it's like I always get, whenever one of my channel supporters posts something on social media, I try to share it. There's no trying, because I'm like, that's too damn cool not to share. Whether it be a new product, you're doing a setup for somebody that pretty much everybody's aware of, or let's say different partnership. FUTone's expanding all the time. At least like on the website, we'll take it, the umbrella of FUTone. Every time I'm on that site, I'm seeing something new.
It's been interesting, and FU grows in different directions. So, just like, I guess it's a natural progression of product, of things that we try to improve on. We're not always going to necessarily reinvent the wheel. Sometimes we do with certain products, but I'll always look to improve on the things we already use. For example, we put a cable out a couple months ago.
Right.
And, just, it's a simple thought. It's like another link in your chain.
Right.
You spent all this money on a guitar. You bought this great boutique pickup. You bought... I'm a little distracted. I'm watching Melissa. I'm watching Melissa dance with the Tonys.
Yeah, we're catching a bit of that over your shoulder in the reflection of the mirror.
There she is.
Very nice. Very nice.
But every little... Can you hear the TV, or is that too loud?
That's not bad. I can hear you well over it.
On. So anyway, the cable, the progression, every link in the chain, just try to do every little piece of it just a little bit better.
Right.
And, I had a friend who had a cable company, and we bought into a lot of the stuff he was doing, and we just designed our version of it. We brought it in, we put really good ends on it, and came up with what we thought was a simple, easy upgrade cable.
Nice.
So cables, pickups, just all the little things, and I have a bunch of new stuff coming.
I have one question regarding the cables. Do you make a cable that has a 90-degree jack on both ends?
I can make any custom cable, period. So, because we have everything there. The cable I put on the website has, 2 straights. One end is a kill end. So when you change the cable, pull the guitar.
Perfect.
It's not going to pop. You can change guitars, no problem. I do have 90s, and what I tell guys is, just email me, and I'll do a custom cable for them. I have my friend Robert Soderbrooke from the band Hate More in Holland is in New York right now. He came down. He wanted 2 10-foot cables with a 90 on one end and a straight kill on the other. So he's like, "Can you do that?" I go, "Sure." And we just whip them up.
Sure.
And what's cool is the heat shrink outside. We have a heat shrink printer. So for custom orders like that, I'll put the guy's names on it.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
it says FU, custom made for so and so. It's a nice touch.
That is a nice touch. That is nice.
And the cable, the cable just sounds good. It's heavy. It's a real clear representation. It's a strong link. And speaking of cables, I'm going to carry another cable that I found out at NAMM from a company, Wire World, that takes it to an even higher level.
Oh, nice.
Like NASA level cables. Not for everybody.
Sure.
Like the cable I sell, I think it's an $80 cable, which is nice for a boutique cable.
Sure.
These crazy other cables, I think they're like two and change, depending on what you get.
Yep.
And listen, it's like everything else. Everything's not for everybody. But if it's cool and I can offer it, I'll offer it.
Sure. Going to do a quick roll call in the chat here. I see a bunch of people popping in. We've got Terry's G&G, moderator to the stars of YouTube. We have the Miraculous Team. We have Joe Hervey 84 tuning in out of Long Island, New York. We got Brian Landreth out of Arkansas. We've got my brother Aaron of Albus Band out of the greater Chicago area. He's going to be my partner in crime at Summer NAMM. Matthew Stewart in the house. We've got Daniel Horsley, Ben Henry. Love the name, Ben. Love it. John Parson. We've got Dennis Brio. We've got Brian Cote, who I got to hang out with last weekend up at Cosmo Music Fest. My lovely sister Amanda is in the house. We've got Mark Kazansky from Tone Talk here. Good to see you, Mark. Good show the other night, buddy. Let's see here. Will Varela, who's from Oyster Bay. We've got Rick Hefner in the house. We've got some guy named David Nesdall, who I think I've seen on YouTube once or twice.
I've heard of him too.
I've heard of him. Let's
What's
see.
up, Dave?
James Yellow, who I met today in a chat. Good to see you made it back, buddy. Who else we have here? Todd Flowers, Danny Alexander. And I think I am... Oh, my chat froze. There we go. Oops. Bam Ozzy, tuning in from the UK. Late night for him. Ivan Carter. Marsman, Metalhead Hippie. Hey, we got Johnny Beane in the house. I think I've heard of him too. I usually see him when I see Dave. Charles Green, Marsman, if I didn't say hey earlier. Dale Palmer, Jason Wade. And there we go. I think that's everyone. Oh, Half Ace and Steve Anderson tuning in from the southern tip of Vancouver Island in Victoria, BC.
Nice. I'll tell you what's cool. So obviously I know a bunch of these guys.
Sure.
Like Mark and Dave and Johnny, and everyone does something really cool like what you do. Everyone just likes to get on and chat, and with technology, we sit and do it at our computers. The same shit we used to do sitting around the music store when all your buddies would hang out on a Friday or whatever. But what's cool about it is everybody really has the same common interest. Everybody has the same love for what we do. It's just all about playing guitar, dicking with your guitar tone, guitar gear, everything about it. Everyone has that common thread. And
so true.
To me, that is cool.
And I think, honestly, it's a public service to the rest of the world because we're not chewing off non-musicians' ears still trying to talk about gear. Because, you see that new guitar and you're so excited about it and you have to talk to somebody. Here's the place, and everyone will say, welcome, friend. That's awesome.
It is. It's a very cool thing, and it's a great way for everyone to share thoughts, ideas, encouragement for each other, for gear, and it's just a cool thing. So I'm glad that I get to be a part of this. I'm doing Mark's thing in a bit. Johnny Beane and I talk. Eric, everyone who does this
Hmm.
is just, we're geeks. We're friggin' nerds.
Yep.
It's just like, dude, check this out. Oh yeah, check this out. And it's just sharing the goodness. And I think it's really
Exactly.
cool.
Exactly. And I love how it is such a community too, because somebody can come in the chat and say, hey, I'm having a problem. My guitar is doing this. And often before the channel host even gets to read off the message, you'll have 5 responses. Hey, did you check this? Check this, check this. And we're all there to help each other.
That's what I like the most about all these things. And I like when guys are supportive of each other, when guys help each other. Listen, not everybody has, 10, 20, 30, 40 years doing this stuff and sharing that information. And I don't care how basic someone's request or question is.
Right.
I shot a video recently, and I'm going to reshoot it because I think I could do a much better job on how to change a string.
Okay.
The most basic thing.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys and all the guys who chat and know about this and that. I mean, that's the most basic thing. It's like tying your shoe. But maybe it's not to a lot of people. Maybe guys struggle with it. Maybe guys don't know there's a better way. And no question's a dumb question, and nothing is too basic. And when I shot the first version of this, I changed the string 3 different ways to show, here you could do this, you could do that, you could try this, try that.
Right.
And the answer to what the right way is what's right for you. What fits your needs best, what worked out for you best.
Right. I see a few people in the chat apparently also have the hockey game going on the side.
I'm fighting. She's got the Tonys on. I need hockey, so I'm trying to watch the game. And hi, honey.
And also, I want to say hey to a bunch of other people that have jumped in. That's awesome, guys. And Brian Landry says, to what Adam is saying, this whole thing has been a very positive thing for me as a person. And he and I have talked off air, and that's the other thing is I've become friends with a lot of these people outside of YouTube as well.
Same.
Like to the point was that yesterday we had CanuckCon. Like who'd have thought a meet and greet, for myself and Richie, my co-host for Canucks with Guitars, and we had a dozen people show up, which was awesome. Like I couldn't have asked for more, and everybody had a great time. We played a bunch of guitars. A bunch of us brought guitars to show off as well. Like the stuff that people will see each week, like say my Kramer. Well, here, play it. You've seen it in 100 videos.
We did. It's funny. Mark came in for this, and Dave Nesdall was at the EVH Con at Greenwich Music in Connecticut.
Right.
And I got to tell you, it's so much fun because all these guys, everyone like brings their EVH builds, and everyone's like going for it. They have a full EVH rig set up, a full band, guys sit in and jam.
Right.
With the band. I end up doing FU installs the whole day, so I don't get to do shit. But just and as I sit there and work on dudes' guitars, we just all sit around and bullshit, talk, do what we're doing now.
Exactly.
Just share the stuff. Everyone asks each other questions. Hey, check this out, check that out. And for the most part, everyone's really cool, and it's a real communal positive experience.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, I think at EVH Con, the closest thing that's going to get to anger is, hey, your black stripe is an 1/8 of an inch off from my black stripe, and I'm not sure who's right.
You know what? For the most part, it's not even that. You'll always get that one guy who's maybe doesn't understand the positivity and could be a dick about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely drowned out by the 25, 30 guys there that are encouraging to each other, that are positive. They go, hey, man, great job. I believe me, I pick up every guitar I can and I play it, and I'm like, this is great. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome, positive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about sharing it and being positive.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, Janice, she said she was at EVHCon as well.
EVH Con was so much fun.
Well, and I think that's what it was the week after EVHCon when I was doing my Canuck show. The next week, somebody's like, "You guys need to do a Canuck Con because EVHCon looked like so much fun." So I looked at Rich and I said, "You want to do it?" And he's like, "Sure, let's do it."
It's very cool. If you can, my suggestion is come down for the next one.
Yes, I would really like to make the trip down.
It's an easy trip for you.
That's only about an 8-hour drive.
Yeah, it's a short flight.
It is a short flight.
I think it's a 50-minute flight, not even 45-minute flight. It's a cheap flight, and it's a fun event. It's at Greenwich Music in Connecticut.
Yeah, I'd love to do it because there's a lot of people there that I haven't had a chance to meet in person. Whether I met fortunately, a lot of that crew made it out to NAMM this year, but those who didn't, I haven't had a chance to meet. And I love traveling and I love talking gear. So, yeah.
You would dig it. Joe Suma, who puts it on, does a really good job, and he turns his store into just a complete party.
Right.
And everyone has a blast, man. It's really a good thing.
Hello, Mrs. Texas Toast in the house.
I like that.
Did Matt already wrap up his live stream? I guess he did. Her husband, Matt, owns Texas Toast Guitars out of Colorado.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some very cool guitars.
Oh, I never even heard of that. I will check that out.
Yeah.
Based solely on the name.
Of course, right? All kinds of cool stuff. And fabric wraps on guitars. He does that.
Really?
Yep.
So they can print the fabric and then do a wrap and then
I think either you can supply the fabric or choose exist. I don't think they can actually do prints of patterns on the fabric.
Oh. I know what you're saying. Got it. Very cool. I'll use that as a segue to a great topic.
And Dave, I would love to meet you at EVHCon.
Oh, Dave Nesdall.
Of course.
Dave Nesdall has a zillion guitars. They should have EVHCon at Dave Nesdall's house.
I agree. A nice commute for him.
Yeah, he's close by, Long Island. But when you mention Texas Toast Guitars, and I've been saying this for years now, the last handful of years, the new generation, the next generation of really cool, awesome guitars is already started. I call it the revolution of guitars, the boutique builders, the guys that are building guitars with passion and love and just really high quality guitars, the boutique guys of today. In the old days, you didn't know about these guys unless you knew someone who knew them, or you heard about it, or you saw a blurb in the back of a guitar magazine. Now with the internet, there's a lot of guys doing it, and the information's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like to say is they're trying to build a better mousetrap. So, the revolution that happened back in the 80s, you had Fender and Gibson were the giants, and you had these little boutique companies like popping up like Charvel and Jackson and ESP and Schecter. And they were the out of the garage companies of the day, and a couple artists started using them, and you'd go, "Hey, what is that? I better check that out." And all it was building a better mousetrap, because the big guys couldn't. But that same revolution is happening again,
right?
And I see these guys building insane guitars that are just amazing. Amazing guitars, and some will grow to the next level, and some will fizzle out, some will stay where they are, and it doesn't matter, because guys are, it's the same mentality of, we're not the corporate behemoth guitar cookie cutter company where, you know, they might as well be a widget. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's about something cool, something different, something better, something that's of value, something innovative. And you see there's these guys out there that are really delivering that type of stuff. And of course, you know, the 800-pound gorilla companies are like, yeah, whatever, who cares?
Mhm.
You know, they don't care. They said that about,
they basically say, as long as you don't use our headstock, we're happy.
but they said that about Charvel Jackson, ESP, Schecter, all the, they didn't care. They're like, ah. Then they're like, whoa, we better pay attention. Oh, we better buy that. Oh, we better ruin that. You know, that's their mentality.
Yeah.
But it's happening again now. And with the internet, good and bad on the internet, one of the good things is that you can see these guys and see what they build. Guys building awesome pickups, guys building great cables, guys building great amps, you know, just one after the other. All these guys have one thing in common. They started with an idea of a better way to do it, building it in their garage or their basement, and they grow and off they go. Pedals, you know, everything.
Yep.
Everything. It's really cool.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's it's amazing, you know, for how big the industry is. It's still very grassroots if we eliminate a handful of corporations. The fact that, like, and I had always sensed that, and then when I started doing events like Music Fest last year, and then getting out to NAMM, when half the booths are manned by the face of the company / owner of the company, because it is a one-man operation for the most part, or, you know, a handful of apprentices. And that, I wouldn't trade that for the world, because that's where the innovation comes from. That's where quality comes from. You know, name it.
I've been doing NAMM for close to 30 years now, and one thing I always like to do is go into the basement. And before NAMM got to this big party scene that it's become, and I would go into the basement and always look for one thing, that one guy with something new, something different, something cool that could barely be there.
Right.
And I would like kind of look for it. I'll tell you a funny story. Years and years and years ago, early 90s. So you know how at NAMM it's all the big hallways, and in between the halls, there's like the little kiosk, the beer stand.
Yep.
So I'm walking between halls, and hold on, is that on?
Yeah, well, I don't know what channel.
So sorry. So I'm walking between halls, and I'm standing in line at the beer stand to get a beer. And obviously 90s, I still had hair and wearing my gear. And some guy comes up to me and he says, hey, you a guitar player? I'm like, how'd you guess?
Yeah.
And he goes, you want to see something cool? I said, sure, I'll see something cool. Now you got to remember, early 90s. And right next to the beer stand was this little like ISO booth, like a whisper room almost. And there was 4 or 5 little folding chairs in it, and then a little combo amp and a chair and a guitar up there. So it was like me and 2 other people, and I go in with my beer, and I sit down, and the guy picks up the guitar, and he has this combo amp and a little foot switch, and that's it. And he starts rattling through sounds, and it's all these clean sounds, you know. Here's this awesome tweed sound. Here's a sound with delay. Here's chorus. Here's reverb. Here's this, the pop. And next, here come the distortion sounds. Here's screaming leads. And I'm like, where's the rack? Because it's the 90s. I'm like, where's your giant refrigerator rack?
Yeah, where's your 11-space rack?
Yeah, where's the rack? Where's your pedal board? And I'm like, all these sounds in one amp with everything built in. At the time, it was unheard of. It was line 6. It was line 6 before line 6 broke. And
That's crazy. Yeah, but that like say that's the way it is, though, right?
I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. I go, I can't believe this. Everything's in one box, and I'm going and telling all my friends, oh, I saw this little combo amp, the first line 6, but everything was in it already. I don't know how they did that.
Right.
And then fast forward like 2 or 3 years, they have like the biggest display at NAMM with like 50 personal stations with Music Man guitars and headsets and a full sound stage. But it was just something new, something different. And they didn't even have a booth. They had a whisper stand next to the beer cart.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, it's hard to believe. And this year they had a conference room at one of the hotels.
Yeah, they kind of went like this, and then like that. The gear, I don't know if it went out of favor or whatever it was. They definitely had their run. They had their heyday. They had their success, whether you like the stuff or not. I mean, the beauty's in the ear of the beholder. There was a very successful company. I thought they made some pretty cool gear. I still have a Pod Pro rack mount unit in my home studio with a bunch of other electronic processors that every once in a while, as I'm just fooling around, I'll go, oh, I'll plug into that one, you know.
Sure. I want to say hello to the lovely Desiree, fiance of David Nesdahl. Good to see you, Desiree.
Hey, Desiree.
And we have Gary Holt tuning in as well. If I could talk
Gary
to
Holt.
you. Good to see you, Gary. Yes. So you've been going to NAMM for a while. It's changed quite a bit from what I've heard over, it's almost like in 5 to 8 year increments.
NAMM's an interesting beast. And I tell people who don't understand what NAMM really is from years ago, and again, before technology and the internet and this and that, think of NAMM as any other industry convention, the meat packers convention, the greeting card convention. Back in the day, you know, company organizations would hold a trade show to bring Mr. and Mrs. Smith from Iowa to a place and wine them and dine them, show them next year's offerings, take their order for next year. You know, that's how business was done for the most part. It was a very, NAMM back in the day, if you find old pictures, everyone suit and tie, doing business, man. It was the manufacturers, the distributors, and the resellers, the end user resellers. And then at some point they would start working in the artists. So, Mr. and Mrs. Smith would have their picture taken next to, whoever the artist of the day was. Like in the 70s, you'd have like a Peter Frampton there for, I guess, Gibson, whatever, and they would get their picture and have it signed, and they would take it back to their store and hang it on their wall with their new Gibson catalog. And that's how we did business. That's how all business went down. And then in the 80s, that concept of the artist piece turned NAMM into a bit of a party.
Right.
So now you got all the shredders, the big hair dudes, and the spandex, and the manufacturers would invite them in. And I remember being in high school reading about the NAMM show.
Right.
I would read, and you'd see a picture, Eddie Van Halen shows up at the Kramer booth at NAMM, and there's this guy, and there's that guy. And it started becoming a bit of a hang. And then it morphed into this totally bizarre version of that. Because you got to remember, people are there doing business. You're either buying or selling or press.
Yeah.
And then it became, at one point, it got so out of control early 90s. And I remember even with my badge allotment, like I could get whatever I wanted. It was very loosey goosey. Um, you didn't have to show ID. I would have a dozen extra badges, and friends could go and hang it. So guys not buying, selling, or doing press or a reason to be there, it became a hangout.
Right.
It became a scene. It became a party, and everyone would run around and they would get pictures and this and that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a different version of what the trade show is there for.
Right.
And then NAMM got hip to it a little bit. Then they started curtailing the badge allotments. So for my companies, I have a few tone, EVHD tuner, and boogie bodies. I get a very small allotment of badges every year, and you have to show ID for the badge. You can't transfer it, and if you don't have it in by a certain date, you have to pay $100 and this and that, because they really tried to cut down on the party aspect
Right.
of what was going on there. And rightly so, because again, companies are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to be there for one reason only, to sell their gear for the next year. And you got some guy coming in who got a badge from a friend who has nothing to do with nothing, and he picks up a guitar and he's sitting there putting on a concert in a booth, and he's not a buyer or a seller. He thinks he's a guitar center.
Exactly.
Oh, look at me, and that's really not what it's for. And they did cut back on it. And even with that being said, I think attendance in January was somewhere around 120,000 people.
I believe it. Yeah, it was. You can't describe it. I remember the first day driving around the convention center. Like, we drove around three sides of it to come in the back way. And the lineup for registration on the main drag was, the full block. And then I go around the back way and I waited in line for 5 minutes and I'm in the door. And I was just like, okay, sure. And then you go inside and I was like, oh, there's a fair amount of people here. And that was Thursday morning. By Saturday morning, you might as well have been at Disneyland on the Saturday, right? It's just muscled around and elbow to elbow. And
there was more people in NAMM than Disneyland Saturday morning.
Oh yeah. But
it's cool, and it's a great place to see friends and meet up. And the guy, it's just like this or any of the other meetups. It's what you make of it. And if guys are positive, supportive, part of the system, part of why we're there, whether it's press or sales or manufacturing, distribution, networking, it's a cool thing. It's a very cool thing. And the way we share information now, the companies don't need to wait to get Mrs. and Mrs. Smith out to the convention to show them next year's wear. They get an email, they get a web demo, they have a rep that comes in the store. It's all part of the process, but I still think it's a pretty cool thing. And right around the corner, Summer NAMM.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're down to maybe 39 days. 38. I can't remember exactly. Aaron from Elvis Band, he usually texts me the countdown every day. So
Summer NAMM's great. Summer NAMM has really come a long way from where it was. Summer NAMM, first off, they used to move it around a little bit. And, one year it was in Indiana, and it was, for me, I didn't enjoy that trip. Then it kind of stuck in Nashville in the old convention center. Now there's the new convention center, which is really nice. And a lot of the companies are coming back and they're building it up. So it's a nice size show. It's nothing like Anaheim.
Right.
But it's a good show. And if you remember why you're there, to do business and, you know, find new business and meet new partners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really is a good, I think Nashville's more laid back, and you could almost get more done if your objective is new growth, things like that.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's see. Desiree has to leave. See you, Desiree. And hello, Rob. And Brian Landreth says, I'm not familiar with everything Adam does. Could you ask him to tell us more about everything he does? Maybe a thumbnail on each of the divisions of Adam Reiver Co., we'll call it.
I'll give you a thumbnail because I don't want it to be a commercial for FU. I just like to hang out and chat gear and music in general.
You know, let me promote the gear.
No, not even needed. FU Tone, fu-tone.com is a tremolo. It's primarily a tremolo upgrade company. So we make our own bridges. We make upgrade parts for other bridges. For all the different locking tremolos, we make upgrade parts for Strat tremolos. We make upgrade parts for acoustics with acoustic bridge pins. We branched out pickups, cables. I carry some basic tech tools, you know, just enough for the average guy to wrench his own guitar. We give instructional videos, and I get a million calls, texts, and emails like, hey, I'm having trouble with this or that. I'll jump on a video call with a guy every week and walk them through even the most basic thing, because it's about this whole path of just chasing tone, upgrading your guitar, upgrading the performance of your guitar. That's FU Tone. I do the EVH-D tuner, the drop D unit for locking tremolos. You got one there?
Of course.
Oh, there it is. So E
Because I
to
happened to
D.
pick this up about a month after we did the hangout.
Nice. And I used to have that guitar, by the way.
I know. I know.
That was actually my first good guitar. And over the years, I let that go. Big mistake. So EVH-D tuner. I also do the EVH mini guitars. Those little, like you got. I see you got a little mini guitar.
I do have an example of a mini guitar. Here we go, folks.
Not mine, but yeah.
Yeah, not what. My dad actually randomly found this a couple of weeks ago. He goes, "I think this is yours." I'm like, "Sure, okay."
Well, it's not Mom's, so
No.
we do all the Van Halen guitars in that size. And then lastly, I do boogiebodies.com, which is neck and body replacement units. So, you know, just the basic stuff. And that's what I do in a nutshell.
Oh, wait, there is one other thing. Let's not forget the FU Tone pickups.
Yeah. We did those. That's we have a new pickup coming out next year, which there's going to be, without giving too much away, I have a new pickup coming next year that I've partnered with an industry friend of mine who's been in this industry a very, very long time, very well known. And he's developed some of the biggest products out there that you guys all know. And we're going to do some stuff under his name. Pickups and stop tails and pots and things along that avenue. So I'm really excited about that coming up.
You heard it here, folks.
Hopefully early next year.
Very nice. And okay, so I did have a few people asking about the status of the guitars coming out this year.
Yeah, politics, man, politics.
Exactly. So
yeah, the FU guitars are in process. I've partnered with another company that's going to help with distribution, and they have their own guitar coming out that I help them design. So we have to wait for their guitar to come out first, then the FU guitar, and then I'm going to make the rounds. I'll see everybody. I'll see Mark. I'll see you again. I'll see Eric. I'm going to send some sample guitars out for everyone to check them out. And yeah, we'll talk guitars, but we're probably a few months out for that still. I thought it would have been done by now, but the politics of it behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a reason we waited until June, folks, to set up this hangout. This was actually set up at NAMM.
Yeah, and I didn't even know it was going to be a possible Stanley Cup night.
Yeah, exactly. Who knew? Who knew, folks?
I like that the American on this chat is fronting for the cup, and my Canadian brother could care less.
Yeah. I was disappointed the NASCAR race was rained out today.
NASCAR? What?
Well, you see, my other hobby growing up has always been, I've been a car guy since I was a kid. So auto racing, hot rods, you know, fast cars, fast playing guitars, and fast women. Why not?
You sound like the Cruiser from Stripes.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, man. So the guitars will be here, and when they come, it's going to be an all-out, everybody, like all hands on deck. Let's grab these guitars, check them out, and go. So
Nesdal's like, NASCAR, and then Fabulous Disaster goes, NASCAR, unsub.
Listen, man, I'm going to let you slide with the NASCAR. You know, maybe it's you have a fascination with USA stuff, and I have a fascination with Canadian stuff.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Maybe we have a role reversal. I should be up there. You should be down here.
Jasco asks, Ben, have you done a video with the Eputone pickups? Yes. In fact, I think I actually installed them on a live stream.
I think you did. I remember when I sent them to you.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I did do a video, at least whether it was live or not, installing them as well as a playthrough. And then any video that you've seen my Mockingbird in, I used the Eputone pickups. They've been in there. I was debating actually in the last couple of weeks taking them out of that guitar, but I have nothing to put into that I want to replace them with, because I just picked up a cheap Jackson a couple of weeks ago. And I think they would sound amazing. I can't believe the Jackson JS11, it retails for 200 Canadian, and it stays in tune as long as you don't use the trem. And it's a great playing guitar.
What bridge is on that guitar?
On the Jackson?
Yeah.
Your standard, was it a 2-pole fulcrum style?
Does it float or rest on the body?
I have it resting on the body.
I got to tell you, if you're going out of tune, if you use the trem, your problem lies in the nut.
Oh, yeah. I know it's the nut just from that string break angle. And the fact that it's a $200 guitar retail.
The $200 guitar retail doesn't matter.
Well, I'm thinking because they probably used a plastic nut.
I would get a graphite nut, and I would have the grooves so the string moves freely in the grooves. Keep the groove lubricated.
Right.
So there's a million products. There's the Big Ben stuff. There's I sell two of them. I sell the Lizard Spit version and the Music Nomad nut lube.
Right.
So keeping that nut lubricated, and forget even for using the bar. If you bend a string, you're moving a string through the nut like this. And if it doesn't move freely, you're going to go out of tune. You know, that goes back to the old adage, the old Eddie Van Halen, where he would put graphite from a pencil into the nut slots.
Yep.
You know, the real problem is not the bridge. The problem is the nut.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely know. Yeah. That nut. I was like, okay, this is the weak link in the chain there. And I want to say, hey, to Guitar Hack, it was great. He made the drive down from Toronto yesterday for Canuck Con. Great hanging out. Got to play his Les Paul that he brought down, which was very nicely set up, I must say. It was set up so well, I almost thought you set it up, Adam. Did I do that? I tried.
I have a couple Les Pauls in my office right now for these pickup tests from the pickup I was just talking about. So, and bridge tests. So these have become my workhorse guitars for testing the new pickups and bridges. So I have a 77 standard that that I've just had for forever. It was like a refin and a redo. So it doesn't matter if I use it for testing parts. And then my partner in this project sent me one of his Pauls preloaded with pots and pickups that he did, and we're just shooting them out like constantly. So
Right.
I'm real excited for that to bring that out to you guys probably right at the end of the year.
Awesome. And there's Lawrence Petross designer of awesome effects pedals. Good to see you. He says
nice.
he can't stay long. He's out running errands. Glad he popped in. Got some great stuff coming out. Oh my god, man! Like the tone that comes out of his pedal, like gain as much as you want, but still get that nice note clarity, and it's just like, oh, forget about it. Forget about it.
What's the name of that company?
Lawrence Petross Design.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going this week on Friday. I'm going up to Chicago to see a big pedal manufacturer about partnering on some stuff. So that's, I'm excited about that. That'll be fun.
Nice.
So Friday, I'm sure I'll make some sort of post of where I am, and everyone will at least see where I'm at and who I'm talking to.
Very nice. Very nice.
I got to be careful because every time I do something different or if I let it out, some people are like they try and jump on the bandwagon, or you know.
I hear you. I hear you.
Some of the guys that their next big idea is coming as soon as I announce it.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
and somebody asked, are roller bridges and nuts still a good retro upgrade? I think that's how they said it.
Roller bridges and nuts, in theory, are excellent for what I just talked about. That binding at the nut, that binding at the saddle. Obviously, you're going to take that away. So it's not for everybody. It's not really my thing, but in some instances, it has its place. I'll give you a good example for out of the Van Halen school, like with the D2H bridge, that has a roller bridge, tunematic there, because you can't have any binding there, especially while you're changing tuning.
Right.
So the roller bridge does have a place.
Just make sure they have string mutes for back ring suppression, Lawrence Petross says.
Everything's a give and take. Everything is a compromise.
Yes. Well, fortunately, some of us, if we get some string ringing up behind the nut, we just take the hair elastic out of our hair and wrap it around.
You know what? I never went that far.
Me neither. If I needed to, though. And somebody was FU tone nuts. Do you offer a locking nut to go with the locking trem that you do?
Yeah, I
assumed you would.
I offer a standard steel locking nut, but I also offer an upgrade nut. I do a titanium nut, and I do a naval brass locking nut as well.
Right. Which I love the look of it. Anything naval brass just looks great.
I dig it. So like I was saying about the Les Pauls, I use a lot of my personal guitars as the crash test guitars for parts before I release them, and that way I could see what changes I need to make. I know the effect because I'm intimate with this handful of crash test guitars.
Sure.
But my main EVH Music Man guitar has the first prototype naval brass locking nut on it still, and
Nice.
you know that was a winner for me. I love the naval brass locking nut. Titanium's great too, but I like to mix and match titanium and naval brass components
Okay.
across the guitar.
Metalhead Hippie was wondering, what about adjustable nuts?
Meaning,
That's a good question. Yeah, because the only thing I could think of for an adjustable nut would be like, was it the titanium nuts Gibson was using on their modern Les Paul the last couple of years that had a height adjustment in it?
oh, I'm not even familiar with that.
Yeah, two very small set screws in the nut to adjust height, as I recall.
Based on what you're telling me, though, if there's screws that adjust the height of the nut, you're taking away that full contact.
I know. Well, we are talking about Gibson that was under a previous leadership.
Listen, I'm not going to trash them.
That's right.
Publicly, but I get it. They try different things. I got to tell you, there's guys at Gibson that I'm friends with that are brilliant designers, brilliant guys that, you know, yes, they are under the rule of certain leadership, and now the new leadership there is a lot better. But you got guys like Jim DeCola, who to me is a brilliant guy in the world of guitar design and manufacture. Jim DeCola was the lead guy at Peavey for the Wolfgang guitars at Peavey, and I worked very closely with him because that was the first production guitar to have D-tuner on it. So Jim and I work close, and Jim is such a knowledgeable guy about every aspect of the guitar. And now he works at Gibson at the USA plant as one of the lead guys. And I went through the plant with Jim last year, and we spent a good 3 to 4 hours really walking through the plant. And it's a very secretive type of place. Like, you have to check your phone at the front desk.
Wow.
To go where we were going. And I went through every section of this factory. And a lot of the things they do it the way they did in the 50s. They, you know, the way they have women scraping the binding with razor blades, like by hand. Pickup winding machines that were built in the 40s. You know,
Right.
Guys fitting. Oh, my daughter. Like that ringtone?
Yeah. Love it.
Guys fitting set neck guitars by hand, where they just literally take shavings one at a time until it's the perfect fit. And I said, this is the stuff that you need to show the public about Gibson, because Gibson had a bad rep for certain things. And some of the things that are being done there by hand, at such a high level, were so impressive. And I'm like, I would have a live stream video going of this place if it were my factory.
Yeah. Basically, like, take the security cameras and live stream that on YouTube, and we'd watch it.
Watch it. You would run to the dealer and go, "This is what I want." Yeah, and I think they got sidetracked with so many like fakoptic projects like Robo Tuners and, you know, Inside Out Flying V guitars and shit like that. But the core of what they do is amazing, and it still is. And it gave me a whole new respect for that company and how they do it. So you hear about the bad stuff, you hear about the weird stuff, but I'm here to tell you the things I saw, the way they cure wood, the way they cut wood, the way they buy wood, the way they inventory things, the way they paint. I walked out of there, my head was on a swivel. I was so impressed.
No doubt. Dave Nesdall says two things. One, he wants an FU tone guitar. Go figure.
Shocking.
And also, he wants to know if you'll have anything to do with the selling of the D2H if it comes out.
You never know.
Very nice. And it looks like for the nut adjustment question, it looks like for intonation maybe. I guess for
you're
intonation.
talking about the intonatable nut. And I think that's what they're talking about. I
think so.
I didn't see that on Gibson. The intonatable nut, from what I know, was originally done by Microfrets. If you guys remember the guitar company Microfrets, big company in the 70s, like the Guess Who and bands like that were famous for playing Microfrets guitars, which are really cool guitars. I think they were based out of Maryland, but super, super cool guitars, Microfrets, and they had an intonatable nut. That was a cool thing. And even though it was cool, and I can't design everything, but if you have an intonatable bridge and you're intonated, I think you're good. Either your string's intonated or it's not.
Right. Yeah, that's what I would think too. Hey, Bobby Lopez, who owns a beautiful Cherry Burst Les Paul. I can say that because it had a finish repair done by a major YouTuber, and he had uploaded the video in the last week or so. One of my favorite guitar repair channels, and Bobby there, we were in a live chat. He goes, "Hey, guess what? My guitar's being featured by this guy." And I went, "Awesome!" And beautiful, beautiful guitar, and it looks better now that the finish blend was done. So
I love, back to the boutique conversation we had a few minutes ago.
Yes.
I love watching like time-lapse videos of, there's a company that I'm not even affiliated with, but I follow on Instagram. I think it's called JN Color, and it's a paint company, and you always see them spraying guitars in a time-lapse way, and they do a spectacular job. Nice. It's like watching those time-lapse food videos.
Yeah,
you watch them make dinner real fast. I'm like, oh, I'm going to make that. But I get sucked into that JN Color Instagram page, and I watch them finish guitars. I'm like, wow, these guys are great.
Let's see here. Lawrence Petross. Your Lawrence Petross Lost Dutchman is finished. I'll get the other pedals on the bench this week and put that wah mod package together for you too. Awesome. He's doing a limited run of 10 pedals. It's like a Timmy meets a Plexi. And I get one of the 10 pedals to demo and, do my thing. Make a bunch of videos with it, right?
Sure, man. That's excellent.
Sell some product for him. So, hopefully. That's
cool.
all. Yeah, and he's also sending me, I picked up a wah last week, and he's going to send me a little mod kit for it to make it a little more vocal sounding.
Very cool. I was dealing with a wah mod guy. I shouldn't have said anything because the name just slipped. Joe Gagan. Wah mods on Instagram. Guy, A, they sound amazing, but B, he does the most artistic things with, the pedals and the casings, and really good stuff. Really interesting stuff.
Nice.
Part of the revolution, man. The revolution.
Apparently, Terry just updated Boston's leading St. Louis 1-0.
I gotta get this game on her iPad. I don't even know how to do it. I can't even watch out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bobby, why don't we give him a shout out? Yeah, it was Dave's World of Fun Stuff. So if you're not already a follower, check him out, folks. Dave's World of Fun Stuff. I think he just hit 113,000 subscribers.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
That's some people.
Mm-hmm. I know.
So
and I'm knocking on that door at 1,200.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What's new in your gear world? What have you gotten recently that's been something that jazzed you, that made you like pop your eyes up and go, oh, this is cool. Oh, this is different. This is new. This is exciting.
Good question. I would say, because it's just off camera here, not to be a complete shill, but this little pedal was a game changer on my pedal board.
What is that?
So this is Lawrence Petross Designs Saguaro. I got to say it right because it looks like Seguro to me, but it's Spanish.
Right.
Sauraro, and it is a 24 decibel boost that also has some tone shaping as well as a little grit in a one knob boost pedal. Great lead boost because the note definition is incredible.
Right.
And I really got in the habit of, because it's a 24 decibel boost, of slamming it into other overdrive pedals or an already dirty amp and getting some really gnarly tones.
So when you use that, is it more of a tone shaper or a lead boost?
I would say 75% lead boost, 25% tone shaper. Because like Brian Stewart said, the tone's similar to a Klon, but as a lead boost, but with a little Klon magic on top.
One of my issues when I would play out and play more when I was younger would be that lead boost. You know, you can't count on a sound guy, or especially even in rehearsal. And for a while, the way that I cured my personal problem, and it wasn't even the right cure, was I took a Digitech EQ pedal, and I flatlined the EQ straight out, but I took the output up, so it was basically a volume boost.
Yep.
In my pedal board, and it served its purpose.
Sure, that's a great way of doing it. I know quite a few people have done that.
To a point, and I got to tell you, even though it worked, I was not happy with it. I felt it just, the tone was just a little different, off, but solved my volume war issue when you're playing in a band with two guitars, you know, and everyone kind of just keeps inching up as the night goes, you know.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So that seems like a really cool pedal.
It is a really neat little pedal. I really dig it. My buddy Aaron out in Chicago, he wants to try it. So apparently any and all Lawrence Petross pedals I have will be coming with me on my trip probably to Summer NAMM. Because unfortunately Lawrence won't be at Summer NAMM, but at least, hey, you know, if I can get the word out a little more, you know me, promote. So or at least I try.
Promotion's cool. Promotion's important. It's good. It's nice. We could chat, and you know, my brand gets recognized. But it's more about, for me anyway, it's just the same conversation we would have if we were sitting at a bar or at dinner, you know, just shooting the shit about.
Oh, exactly.
And I got to tell you, I'm fortunate enough, thank God, and luckily enough, that I get to work with some pretty high-level guys in the guitar world. The conversation is no different than this.
Right.
It's the same conversation.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember somebody mentioned that at NAMM, you know, be like, hey, there's such and such. I was like, well, he's a gear nerd. Well, how can you tell? I said, because he's not here just to do a playing appearance. He's looking at a company who's not his guitar endorsee or, you know, what have you. It's totally independent because he's looking at cool new gear like anyone else.
If you're a tone chaser or a guy who's into what we're into, the sad theory of that is it never stops. It never ends. You're always chasing it, but it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun thing, and your tastes change. You know, over the years, things I liked 2 years ago, now I'm like, you know, not that they're bad, but maybe I'm just not as excited about it.
Sure. And Brian, send me a message on that. And yeah, I'd love to meet up, buddy. Let's talk about meeting up during our drive down to NAMM. So I'm actually going to fly to Chicago and then drive down to Nashville from Chicago.
That's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
How'd you end up with that plan? You got to tell me that.
Well, it turned out my buddy Aaron from Albus Band, we became good friends, just hanging out in chats like anything else. And it came up with, he's like, are you going to NAMM? And I'm like, I can't afford it, dude. Like, I can't afford a flight and a hotel. It would be a one or the other situation. And he says, well, I have a place for us to crash down there, but I don't have a NAMM pass. If you can get to Chicago, which is, you know, it's about a $50, $75 flight cheaper than to Nashville, he said, you know, we can drive down together. So I went, we can do that. So I talked to a buddy, got some passes, and so I'll fly it to Chicago, stay there a day or two, and then we'll drive down. And I'm going to stay a day or two up there in that area on the way back as well. So
I love Chicago. Like I said, I'm going there Friday, but the bummer of my trip is I fly in Friday morning early. I go to this company and I'll meet with them all day. And then by 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm back in the airport flying back to New York.
yeah, I hear you on that. I have a lesser idealism for Chicago because I was trapped in Chicago on my flight back from NAMM.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, yeah. By
Chicago
the time I landed in
airport,
Chicago, Toronto was closed.
The airport in Chicago is cool, though.
It is cool, very cool. And that's yeah, that would be the night my sister completely saved my ass, because while I was in line for half an hour at United Airlines customer service to rebook a flight, she already found me a hotel and everything.
Beauty.
Yeah, so she became my unofficial road manager after that incident, because she's like, I can't go to bed knowing that you're stranded in Chicago, you know.
That's the way it should be done.
And then, of course, being a YouTuber, you get checked in the hotel. What do? You go live on YouTube for an hour.
Of course. Of course. You should have did like a live stream of like the check-in.
Yeah, I should. I was so worn out. I remember freezing because it was during a big deep freeze.
Oh.
And I wasn't exactly dressed for northern climate weather, that's for sure. And I remember got to the hotel, and I said, and it's only like 10:30 at night. But of course, I live in a small town, so I was like, is there any restaurants still open that deliver? And the woman looks at me like I got three heads. She's like, it's only 10:30 at night. And then on the back of my hotel key is an advertisement for a pizza place.
Yeah.
There he is.
That's the big city mentality, and that's what's great. Oh, look at that. I see Dave Nestor.
Hey there.
What's up, Rockstar?
What's going on?
What'd you do? Take over? Is this the break-in takeover?
No, I just wanted to say hi.
How's your new guitar?
Both of them are great. The
Nice.
the snakeskin is incredible. I'll be talking to you about that in a day or two.
Got you covered.
And I got this as well. I built this, and then it's 2-inch thick like the original.
Yeah, the bigger one.
Yeah, the only thing that this one has a real vintage Floyd on it, like from '83, a FRT7. I don't know that I want to do any upgrades on that just yet. I just kind of want to leave it
All
original.
good, man. Dude, rock it. They're
Yeah.
all good.
But this guitar just wants to be a guitar. It's amazing. Like a fresh build, sometimes you don't know if it wants to be a guitar.
Yeah,
Yep.
This one wants to be a guitar. It's just killer.
that's cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to our block project for your new snake. That'll be
Oh
fun.
yeah, you ain't kidding. Yeah. Here, let me show it to you.
Yeah, I want to see that snakeskin guitar, because that thing is insane. I have a soft spot for anything that reminds me of Warren in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, yeah.
My light on.
And that's for any snakeskin guitar, the first thing I think of is Warren.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Reverse. Anything
Yeah.
reverse is cool.
And it's got a V-neck. I've never felt an ESP, especially one of these reverse hockey sticks like a George Lynch thing. I've never felt it with a V-neck on it. But
How do you like it?
I love it. I've played Clapton Strats with V's, which are great. But this one, I mean, it's a big neck. It's like it's an R5 nut.
Wow.
But it's so comfortable because there's no shoulders at all, and it comes out to a V, so it really fits in here really well.
The V puts your hand in a different playing position, the way your wrist sits.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. Vernon Reed, his new signature PRS guitars have a V and a hard V.
Mm-hmm.
And So when I first picked it up and I felt it, I'm like, ah. And then I sat and played it for a minute. I was like, wait a minute. My hand is nice and relaxed.
It really is. It really is. And the frets on this thing, I mean, I've played on 6100s, you know, really big frets before, but these are bigger than that. And it kind of feels like you're playing on a scalloped fretboard.
Really?
Super comfortable, though. And I generally don't like a scalloped fretboard, but this really feels comfortable. Really good.
You don't have to dig in so much.
No. And I'm a wimp. I play on 9s, so you know.
Listen, you and me both, man.
And me.
And I don't get these guys that think it's a macho thing. Like, I play 10s, I play 11s. I'll tell you guys a funny story that ties right to this. And so it was the Def Leppard Styx tour. And I'm standing around. It's 2 or 3 techs and Phil Collin and James Young, JY from Styx. And we're all just standing in a circle, having a conversation like this, talking shit about gear. And JY, well, wait, let me back up. Phil plays 13s, and his neck is as fat as this glass.
It's a tree trunk, yeah.
The guitar, it's like strumming a big old acoustic guitar. So if you want to dig in and bend notes, forget it. You're not doing it. And so Phil's there. He's like, oh yeah, right. I play 13s and sometimes 14s, and James Young, JY, plays 8s. Wow. And James goes, yeah, man, I still play those old 8s. And like a couple tech guys and crew guys like chuckled. And he had the best line ever. He goes, you can laugh all you want. He goes, I sold 100 million records playing 8s.
Yep.
So anytime I hear someone go, oh man, Stevie Ray played 13s. Oh, you're a pussy. You don't play 12s. I always think of James Young saying, I sold 100 million records playing 8s.
And I always think I play middle of the road strings with 9s because growing up there was 3 gauges, 8s, 9s, and 10s.
Yeah.
That was it.
So for the I guess if guys want to call dudes out for their string gauge, they should go talk to JY.
Yeah.
And have a dick measuring contest and see if they could match the 100 million sales.
I mean, how about Billy Gibbons? He plays on 7s. And no one ever in the world is ever going to say that Billy Gibbons has sucky tone.
So
exactly.
I got news for you. At the end of the day, the gear is cool. The gear is important. It'll get you in the neighborhood. At the end of the day, it's your hands and it's you.
Yeah.
I've said it 1,000 times. I'm lucky enough. I've played Ed Van Halen's rig. Sounds just like me. Exactly like me, man. Dead on.
Nice.
Oh, wait, I play on Van Halen's rig, too. Hang on, look at that.
That's great.
No.
Brian Stewart asks Adam, he says, I have an 88 Jackson JT6 bridge on my Charvel Model 2. If I decided to upgrade, which one of your bridges would he go with?
It depends on the route on the guitar. And my advice to him is shoot me an email, send me a very clear front and back picture of your guitar, of the tremolo area. And my email's easy, adam@fu-tone.com. And let me see where you're jumping off, and I'll let you know what your course of action and what your options are.
And he has a follow-up. He says, sounding like me sucks. I want to sound like someone else.
Yeah, you should get that new air guitar. I think they're coming out next quarter.
Exactly.
It is true. You sound, at the end of the day, it is the guy. You know.
Well, like in the world of small worlds, I do a lot of my, as I call it, the Johnny Beane style guerrilla guitar demos, where I'm in a music store. It's a 2-minute video. When he did that, I thought there's a good idea, so I started doing it. So I did a demo of a custom shop Firebird a few weeks ago, and in the world of small worlds, the guy who bought it commented on my video. And he said it didn't sound like that when I took it home.
That means you did a good job.
I guess.
I got to tell you, man, it is about the guy at the end of the day. Tools are tools. It's guitar playing is an art. It's an expression of yourself. And yeah, it's cool to learn other people's music and practice it and play it out of respect. But it's an art no different than painting or sculpting or expression. And at the end of the day, I think most people would want to express themselves through an instrument.
Sure. Absolute Mayhem asks, question for Adam, and he's been asking me this for a while, and I think I knew the answer, but why not get it from the expert? Detuna for a floating Floyd, any tips / suggestions?
For a free floating bridge locking tremolo, no, it won't work completely. So there's two ways to skin this cat. And one is a trem stopper, so your bridge becomes dive only. That's the most stable way for a detuner. But you can still have a bridge that pulls up and have a detuner. You have to use a stabilizer. And I have several on my site, on the FU site. There's the WD Tremolo Stabilizer. There's the Tremono. There's Hipshot Trem Setter. But for my money, if you want to pull up and use a detuner, there's a product called the Black Box, which is a counteracting spring. So without having a complete visual aid here, when you dive your bridge and the block pulls up this way away from the stop, the black box is a spring. My fist would be the spring. So if you were to pull up on your bridge, it would push the spring this way and then bring you back to neutral. The mechanics of it, it was designed for if you have a floating bridge and say you were to break a string. So on any floating bridge, as you know, if you change the tension of one string, the whole bridge is going to move. This counteracting spring will hold your block right where it was and keep you in tune. So whether you broke the string or detuned the string, you would still stay in tune, yet you still have the ability to pull up. You're not totally free floating. You can't flutter it, but you can pull up.
Good to know. There we go. And I think I told him, I said he would pretty much be looking at a trem stop of some kind.
Well, trem stop is dive only. Trem stabilizer is counteracting.
Oh, right. Exactly. Yes. You remember at NAMM when I said, can I buy some detuners off you? And you said, no, those are the displays. It was for that guy right there.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Go to detuna.com, futone.com, go anywhere, email me.
Yeah. And leave my names in the notes, Wayne.
That's it, man. Extra stickers.
Yeah. Well, I always say to people, like, if I say something and they buy it, and Dave's the same way, like, drop a line. Let them know where you found out about the product, because you, as the manufacturer, that tells you the ultimate feedback of what's working.
It really does. And I do get that a lot. A lot of times I'll get an order or a question, and it'll say, hey, can I do a free floating detuner? I saw you on, Canucks or Eric's or this or that. They'll say where they saw me. And the feedback is important. It's important to me. And I like to know that, I was heard, to the point. Not about selling stuff. I'm about solving the problem, answering a question.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I get a phone call that says, hey, I have a tech question for you. Company XYZ couldn't answer it. Competitor. And then I go, let me get this straight. You bought their product. They couldn't answer the tech question, and you call me to answer their tech question. And then they go, yeah. I go, no problem. What's your question? You know,
Right.
now you know where to start next time.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Adam. And you may, I'm sure you've probably already thought of this, or someone's probably already asked you, but as regarding detuners.
Yeah, sure.
Relic version.
Interesting. No one's ever asked me.
I never thought of that either.
I think a relic black one, so it kind of looks gray, or a relic red one. I mean, you can't really relic a chrome one. I mean, I guess you can. You can make it. You can make it like not shiny, but like a relic black one. Oh, that would be so incredible. That would be
I don't know how far that would go with the masses, but I could tell you a trick for relicing hardware that works really good. And I could do a small batch. There's this acid, and I'll get you the name. Scotty turns me on. You take a little bucket of this, not hydrochloric acid. It's another one of those corrosive acids, not the kind that'll kill people, but it's a mild acid. You take metal parts, I've done it with tremolos, trem parts, this, that. You could do a detuner, and you put a piece of cheesecloth over the top of like a little bucket. And then, so like if this is the acid, cheesecloth, and then you just put it in the cheesecloth and cover it up. And you leave it there overnight. And the next day, you may want to keep an eye on it. And the next day, all the shiny stuff is off. All that like glossy shit is gone. And it does do a pretty realistic hardware aging process.
We got a couple of people mentioning muriatic acid.
That's it. That's it.
Except for Crowbar, he just says LSD. I've never had so much fun palm muting in my life after I relic those parts.
That's so funny. And I got to apologize to everyone in the chat. I don't have the chat up, so if you do, or if you are talking to me, please forgive me for not answering.
And I will pass along anything I see it tagged in, Dave.
So yeah, the acid, the cheesecloth, and let it just sit. Take it out, rinse it off, wipe it down. I've had good results with it.
Nice. Crowbar just said, my mistake. LSD makes relic parts look shiny again.
No, the trick is don't put the parts with the LSD. Just take the LSD and look at the chrome parts. They'll melt.
You'll see it relic right before your eyes.
You'll see it melt.
Let's see. Someone's asking Lawrence about the Dutchman pedals. Yeah, I can't wait for that. That's going to be epic. Let's see. Got that. We got that.
The Dutchman pedals, is that like an Adrian Vandenberg thing?
No, it is Lawrence Petross that sponsors the channel. He's a small pedal builder out of Mesa, Arizona. Actually, good friends with Phil McKnight as well.
Oh, cool.
And he and we met up at NAMM and, kept in touch. We weren't even doing business at NAMM. It was literally, he was hanging with Philip, and JJ and I met the two of them, and we were hanging out talking. And then I would see Lawrence in the chats after that, and we became friends. And he's designing. It's a Timmy meets a Plexi, Dave. He's doing.
I love both.
Yeah, initial run of top jacks for the connectors. He's only doing 10 of them, and I'm getting one of them. So.
Oh, very cool.
In a few weeks, I will be having some videos up on it.
There you go. Yep, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, and like say this boost. I don't know if you saw that because you were just jumping on it. So it's a 24 decibel boost with a bit of a Klon tone stack in it as well.
Very cool. I love the Klon as well. Klon is great for. It's really my favorite. One of my favorite pedals for an already broken up amp, and use that as a boost.
A little sugar on top.
A little tough to use on an all clean amp unless you've got amazing fingers.
Yeah. Or you play the really mellow stuff like I was playing. I was doing a lot of Klon based. That was my game, a Telecaster with a Klon into a clean Fender amp.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Not a lot to hide behind, that's for sure.
By the way, are those two Echoplexes behind you on the wall?
These here,
Yeah.
those are cheap Canadian-made 30-watt tube heads.
Oh.
Company out of Montreal named Pine. They used to ghost build for all the catalog companies and stuff like that. And I found these two heads a couple years apart. They had different company names on them, but they're identical. And so I think one is still kind of working, but the idea is I'm going to give both of them to an amp guy I know to combine them into one decent amp.
Cool.
Just to make my tone a little more Canadian.
How much were they in real money?
Not much. Early 70s, not much.
Yeah, I'm just kidding about that. I love Canada. Canada's cool.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't until you did the interview with Richie Kanata that I figured out the Kanata joke.
That's right. That's right, my buddy Richie.
Jeez,
Awesome.
I was walking on air for 3 days after that show.
Yeah. The biggest compliment that I got from Richie was the day after. He calls me, says, when I got to your house, before I got to your house, I thought, guitar player, musician, it's going to be a mess. But man, you keep a good, clean house. It's like, well, thank you.
Hey, there's the man himself, Caleb Rapoport.
Nerd Halen.
That's right. They got a gig in another 6 days, or their next gig, I should say, which is awesome. Love Nerd Halen stuff. I just love that whole concept. We got to get Caleb back on soon. As we were joking about that after he and Hal were on with you, Dave, that Caleb actually dropped the Nerd Halen news on this channel, as he said, to your double-digit subscriber count at the time. So yeah.
Well, I mean, his band is fantastic, and I love Caleb. Caleb is just a sweetheart of a guy, and one of the best guitar players that I know. With a certain, especially with a certain gentleman's tone and feel that we all love.
I agree. I made the mistake of calling him a guitar hero of mine last week. Mm-hmm. And he texted me because it was, can you put the dishes away, guitar hero? Can you put your knee to bed, guitar hero?
That's funny.
Yeah, Caleb's awesome. Love Caleb. Like what he's doing. The concept of there's a bunch of Van Halen kind of tribute bands out now, which is a tough thing to do in any aspect. But what Caleb's doing, I think, brings a unique slant to it.
Yeah.
And obviously, he delivers the goods on guitar.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. And yeah, like say, a super cool guy, too. I got to spend, most of, I think a good portion of the Thursday or Friday of NAMM. I met up with Caleb in the afternoon. We ended up hanging out throughout the evening. It was just awesome. And like you say, Adam, sitting around having like our exact same conversation, basically, and here I am, I'm sitting around a table at in a hotel, and there's Caleb, Johnny's there, and he's from another part of Cali. I'm hanging out with the guys who own Flipside Music out of Denver, the Texas Toast guys out of Denver. And then next to me, ironically, is a guy, a Canadian, who lives about 2 hours away from me, sitting right next to me at this big table. And he's like, we should know each other. I'm like, yeah, we should in this small world.
It's when guys are supportive and helpful and positive about what everyone else is doing is a real win-win-win for everybody. So I love to see, like a great example is Caleb. So Caleb did something unique and different that, maybe a jerk would say like, oh, that's not cool to say. I love that everyone embraces it and gets into it. And I could tell you, it's super cool. And Caleb's a really nice guy, and I'm glad I know him.
Yeah, same here. Go ahead, Dave.
I said I agree. I think I think there's plenty of room in this world for us to do everything we want to do, and you know, it should all be positive, you know, and anytime you can help someone out and you know, be a positive part of it, it just makes it a lot easier.
I agree. And I want to say,
and if you don't have anything nice to say,
yeah,
don't say anything.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure I know somebody who might be a little bit better than you who's ragging somebody. And if they could be cool, you better be cool.
Caleb just said, I'm dying over here, guys. Thanks.
This is the Caleb's with Guitar show. Canucks with Guitars is over. Ben Coombs. This is the Caleb show.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all stroking Caleb here.
And I want to say hello to James Orcutt, who said he loves his FU tone brass block in his Strat.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, I don't want to take any more of you guys' time. I'm going to split because I have dialysis in the morning. Okay. So I'm going to get an early night's sleep, but it was great hanging. Adam,
I'm going to touch base with you this week, Dave. It's been way too long since we've done a hangout.
Yeah, please. I'd be happy to come on. Or just
I just realized that, like, literally, when I sent you the link, it showed the last link I sent you, and that was August of last year. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Awesome. Ben, great. Thank you so much for having me on for a moment. And Adam, great talking to you, and I will talk to you this week.
Yeah, drop me a line.
You got it, pal.
Cool.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, question. I'm not familiar with them. Are you familiar with Relish Guitars out of Sweden at all?
No.
No, I am not either. Sorry, Metalhead Hippie. I do not know that.
Relish, R-E-L-I-S-H?
Yep. Just like the garnish. Or condiment. Not a garnish. Condiment.
Condiment.
Know that. You grew up in the restaurant business. Jeez.
Hold on, wait. I'm going to look them up real quick. Relish Guitars. Ah.
And sorry, folks, if I've missed any questions, just make sure to tag me in the comments and ask again if I missed it. I apologize. Chat's flying tonight. Last time I looked, I think we had 67 people watching, which is awesome. Thank you.
Cool looking stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like a high-end guitar. You can tell. Oh, these are cool. Take this.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Interesting. You could tell this is a handmade, a walnut guitar. Nice. Not a cheap guitar. They look like they have a lower price model, but this is what I was talking about earlier. That's the revolution. That's the Ferrari. That's, you know, you're going to pay for it and you're going to get what you pay for.
Exactly. It looks like I'm getting reports of 68 to 72 people watching, depending if we believe Guitar Hack or Caleb.
We're gonna break the internet.
And if you're new, please subscribe. Channel's building every day, folks. Pearly goes on tomorrow, so figure a week. Okay, awesome. Brian Stewart's setting up. We're doing a couple of community build projects / refinish projects that we're going to build a couple of guitars and then give them away to our subscribers.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I was going to talk to you about off air, since one of your companies is Boogie Bodies, because I have this Jackson body that was donated to me, which obviously it needs a neck. So I figured we could talk and at least point me in the right direction. And
yeah, let me check. Let me see what I have laying around. I might have something for that. If I have, get me the neck pocket size and basic info, and I'll see what I have laying around.
Yeah, fortunately, again, Aaron from Albus Band, his tech, he works at one of the larger guitar centers, and so I gave him the measurements of the pocket, and he's a Jackson guy, so he's like, oh, it's a DK whatever model. I went, oh, okay, because I couldn't find any information on it. Okay, thank you, Terry, for the update. And and fortunately, a lot of fine folks. It started as one guitar, and it's turned into two because we got a lot of donations in from these fine subscribers. So I was like, well, let's do 2 guitars and give them away. And we're not. I started as just one of these kits, and I wasn't happy with the kits.
Right.
Because you're going to throw away most if not all the hardware. So let's just build. The Jackson body was donated, and we're going to do up a Telecaster-based guitar as well. That's going to feature a pearly gates in the bridge, a lipstick in the middle, and a mini humbucker in the neck.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Thank you, Joe. Any ideas yet on how to do the giveaway? Yes, I'm going to do a dedicated video for each of the guitars. And all somebody would have to do is comment on the video to enter. And I've also kept a list of all the PayPal donations. So anybody that also donated gets 2 names into the draw instead of 1.
I'll give you a suggestion. Take it or leave it if you want.
Sure.
Because I've given away some stuff on FU. Maybe I should do a giveaway this week. I haven't done it in a while. I'll put the item on, let's just say, Instagram. And I'll say to qualify to win the item, you have to like the post, share the post, and tag somebody.
Okay.
And that way it brings a nice social media element in. Some people that might not even know you're there, and word gets out. And I've always had a good response for that. And what I'll do is I'll go down the list of likes, and then I'll look, did they tag? Yes. Did they share? Yes. And then I'll just write their names.
Yeah.
Real quick. I'll chop them up. I'll just mix them up on my desk and grab one.
Nice. Yeah, I usually will, any of the giveaways I've done before, I'll have a list of names. So if it's 20 names, that's my list. And then I downloaded a random number generator app on my phone, and you can select, choose 1 to 20. And it's just like literally ding, 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 ding. Jasco asks, where do we donate? There is a PayPal link down below in the description of the video. And thank you very much. Metalhead Hippie just donated $5 towards the neck. Thank you very much, Metalhead Hippie.
This is the community. This is what I was talking about. Guys just being cool, banding together, helping each other out. Positivity, man.
Okay. And Brian just said, if you do that, let Amanda, my sister, pick 2 names out of a hat. Well, there we go. We'll make a video of, or we'll do it live, one or the other. And yeah, we can print out the names and pick them out of a hat. Sure. I love that idea. Yeah, thanks again, Metalhead Hippie. It's much appreciated.
Very cool. And I love the name Metalhead Hippie.
Mm-hmm. He had a birthday last Monday, and he said, how about a birthday shout-out? And what started as a birthday shout-out turned into the world's ugliest and worst Marilyn Monroe happy birthday singing ever. And I'm thinking, he's probably like, that's the worst $5 I've ever spent in my life.
Well, happy birthday, Metalhead Hippie.
And Brad Miller says he just started following you on Instagram.
Ah, thank you. Thank you.
That's right, Caleb. We'll do it live. And yes, that is your Ibanez box, Mayhem. He bought a new guitar. We were hanging out last week at an event. He bought a guitar. So I said, by the way, can I have that box? Because I got to ship a couple of guitars at some point. So I kept the box for my Jackson, and now I have an Ibanez box too. Guitar Hack asks if you will be at Summer NAMM.
I will be. I will. I won't be in a booth, but I will be boots on the ground, moving around, seeing all the people I partner with, and my friends and my artists, and Summer NAMM's a regular trek for me, and Nashville's really gotten good lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of friends who live there now, and a lot of artists. So Nashville's super cool. It's funny. I could tell this story because it was pretty funny. So I was in a car a couple of weeks ago with Andy Sneap and Richie Faulkner from Judas Priest.
Okay.
And we were going over to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I was going to take them through the guitar display.
Right.
And we're just sitting in New York traffic, and we're just chit-chatting and about Sneap and I have some friends in common who live in Nashville. And I'm like, everyone's moving to Nashville now. I go, a ton of metal guys, the Accept guys, and Mars and Mark Slaughter, and this guy and that guy. And I go, Nashville used to be cool, but the secret's out. And I'm like, I started just digging it a little bit. And Richie Faulkner looks up, he goes, I just bought a house in Nashville. I'm moving there after the tour. I'm like sinking in my seat. But yeah, that was a neat trip, and that's actually a pretty cool topic if you want to touch on that. I don't know if everyone knows about the guitar exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. The exhibit is called Play It Loud, and it is just about every iconic guitar that you can think of in one display. And it is mind-numbing and inspiring. And,
it is.
And when
what amazed me is, not only does this gear exist, but like Eddie's first rig, that I would not expect. Like I'm okay because I know like a lot of major bands have a lot of storage units full of tour gear. Like I'm okay with the 5150 tour rig. Like that I get. You're established, but you're not selling this rig to buy your next rig. The fact that he still had his original stuff.
Most of it. And the thing was out of the Van Halen stuff, and I was a part of helping to put that together, and having the Frankenstein guitar there is mind-numbing. And then you turn right behind it, and there's Jimmy Page's Les Paul, the one that you saw. Song Remains the Same and Everything Under the Sun. And you turn to the left of that, and there's Jimi Hendrix's V. And you turn to the right, and there's Eric Clapton's Blackie. And as you look through the glass of Jimmy Page's Les Paul, there's Stevie Ray Vaughan's Strat. And it just goes on and on. And you're standing there. And like I said, I'm pretty lucky. I get to see some pretty cool stuff. I've been in there 20 times already. Every time I walk in, I get chills, and I can't believe.
There's some serious mojo there. And actually, since you helped out with that, was there much work to go into the Frankenstein to have it display worthy? Since I know he's had probably 50 necks on that thing over the years, and
there was no work into the guitar. The guitar came as is. The work was in logistics. The work was in insurance. The work was in mounting. The work was in protection. The work was the work. The guitar was the guitar. The guitar was just sitting in a case.
Right.
That was
and that was my curiosity. Like, did he put, say, a neck back on it for the display? Because he could have had something very random on it.
This is the condition that the guitar has been in for ages. This is exactly how it's sat for probably at least 30 years.
Well, thank you very much, Jasco. Just sent a donation to the bill. Thank you very much. And Brian Stewart was asking if you're going to Sweetwater's Gear Fest.
I'm not going to Gear Fest, and it's funny. I've never done Gear Fest yet, but it's on my list. I would love to go to Gear Fest. I have a bunch of travel right around now, and just couldn't do it this year. But I'm going to really try to make it for next year. I know some cats at Sweetwater, and they're doing a great job over there.
I went last year, and I really regret not going this year because I have a lot of friends going there this year. It seems like any friends I've made in the YouTube world, especially some of the larger channels, are all there. And they're like, dude, you got to come. We got to hang out. And again, part of that networking thing is I really should go in a sense, but I'm doing Summer NAMM instead. And I really got to pick my spots until everything starts more momentum with this overall, right?
I think Sweetwater does a really good job in servicing the end user.
Oh, yeah.
I think their policies are really favorable to the user to facilitate an online sale of an item that traditionally you couldn't buy unless you went and put hands on. You know, so I think they've really found their sweet spot of doing that. You know, and
Oh, yeah.
it's tough to buy gear over the internet when it comes to a guitar. So, you know, yeah, if you wanted a Boss distortion pedal, is a Boss distortion pedal. You could buy it anywhere. You know,
Right.
you have a pretty good feel of what that is. You know, even if you played it somewhere else and you're shopping it online, you know that that's pretty much what you're going to get. But when it comes to buying a guitar, you know, if I was going to buy a Strat, I would go into a store and I would play every Strat on the wall
Mm-hmm.
and maybe buy none of them.
Right. Unless one spoke to you.
Right. But I only knew that by doing it. So, you know, if I wanted to buy a Strat from Sweetwater, me as an old school guy, I might go, but the way their policies are, and from what I understand, I think it's a pretty good bet to have a conversation with someone, get a guitar sent in, take it for a spin. If you don't like it, send it back, that type of thing. So everything I know of Sweetwater, you know, they found a niche of how to crack that online code sale of a guitar.
Very cool. Dana in New Jersey says he'd like to see me at Tolman next year, which is going on right now, the Tolman Gearhead University. I would love to. I could have gone this year, but again, I would have had to pay all my own expenses, whereas for the larger channels, they're supplying hotel and airfare for the YouTubers, which is awesome because it's Germany. But yeah, you know, obviously, folks, the long-term goal is this full-time, covering as many events a year as I can. And as it completely grows even more, then it's even like, well, let's take a trip down and visit Adam at FU Tone, do a tour of the facility, do an interview, you know, stuff like that.
Come on.
Exactly. Sweetwater is great. I got 2 guitars from them. One had to go back. They covered all costs. Jasko said, yeah, they're really good for that. They are really, really good for that.
That's the only way you can succeed at selling a guitar online. You know, mostly everything else is a commodity type of item, you know, whether you bought it on Amazon, Musician's Friend, Sweetwater, this, that. You know, if you buy a set of Diodario strings, you know, it's not like you got to go, oh, I wonder if these, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
But a guitar is a different ballgame.
Yeah. As much as they can tell you, you know, they're mass-produced all with CNC machines and this and that, there's still a human hand touching those guitars, and they are all a little different.
Oh, completely.
Daniel Greco has a question, and welcome, Daniel. I don't know if I recognize your name, but then again, I don't have the best memory at times. Can you ask Adam if he's ever worked with Steve Vai?
You know, it's funny. One of the very, very few guys that I have not done yet. And on the list, and we'll eventually get it done. And, you know, I've had email conversations, and it's just a matter of threading the needle to go spend the day to do what I do, especially with a guy like that. You know, I usually go, we play the guitar, I change it, and then play it again. And, you know, a lot of guys are very, especially with great sounding guitars, are very skeptical, even though they know, you know. I'll give you a great example. So, like, after I started working with Warren DeMartini, so I was out at his house and we're wrenching guitars, and we took the snakeskin guitar, and the guitar sounded amazing to start. He's like, well, I don't know. So we took the guitar as is, plugged it in, and recorded it. And he recorded 5 different passages. So he played a rhythm thing, he played a lead thing, he played a clean thing, he played a Clapton riff. I remember the lead thing was the solo to "You're in Love," just a cappella by itself. And
Of course.
he played the intro to "Lay It Down," and he's playing "Lay It Down," and I'm like, "There's the record. There's "Lay It Down."
Yeah, I know. I don't know what I could do if I'm sitting there and Warren starts playing the intro to "Lay It Down," which is such an iconic intro. I'd be like,
wait.
Too much.
I'll tell you another story about that after this. So we took the guitar, and I said to him what I say to everybody. I said, listen, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change this part to this part. If you don't love it, I'm just going to switch it back, and we're still friends. I don't care. And then I did one change, and he recorded the same 5 parts. Then I did another change. He recorded the same 5 parts. We did, I think it was 4 or 5 different combinations where we recorded the same 5 parts. And then we just sat listening to everything back. And it came down to the last 2 that we liked. And he said, well, what do you think? I said, I'm not telling you what I think. It's your guitar. I don't care. And the last 2 were not what we started with. So it was a version of what I did. And then he said, I like this one. And that was the one I liked. I said, that was the same as me. But it's funny. And this story ties to what I was talking about earlier. It's the guy. So I was in LA and I was at a friend's house up in the Hollywood Hills, not far from Warren's. And he has a studio behind the house. And he said, man, I got the Lay It Down tone going. So and we go back to his patio, the studio, glass, looking out. It's beautiful. And he's got this Hamer guitar. It's like a Hamer, like double cutaway. And he starts playing drop D, Lay It Down, hands me the guitar. I start playing it. It sounds like a kid at Guitar Center playing Lay It Down. And I go, yeah, man, that's pretty good. And I was meeting up with Warren later that day. And I called him. I said, hey, meet me over here at so-and-so's house. He's like, because it was right around the corner from him. He goes, all right. So he comes over and he knocks on the door. And as soon as I open the door, I said, yo, man, he says he's got the Lay It Down tone going. He goes, oh, yeah, let's see. So we go back, hand him the same guitar, same amp, same everything, and just there's the record. That's it. Me, kid in Guitar Center, him, the record.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Geez, I can just imagine that other guy. It's like, so I hear you got my tone down.
He's a pro guy, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But the icing on the cake is having that guy play it.
Sure. I think I'd turn into Wayne Campbell because all of a sudden I'd be like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
One time I asked him, I said, hey, man, am I playing this right? He goes, no.
I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, he's such an unassuming guy in many ways.
Nicest guy in the world.
Yeah. And that's like it's hard to find a lot of interview footage with him and stuff like that. But I remember I did find an extended form, like a 45-minute thing, and I think I've watched that 25 times.
He's a very humble, low-level guy in his mind. Very reserved.
Yeah.
You know, he played me a demo of something once. He's like, I'm like, what are you going to do with this? He's like, I don't know, maybe just hike. I'm like, are you nuts? This is awesome. I'm like, this is great. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyone else would sell their complete rig just to have that
complete
riff to make a song out of, right?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was completely ridiculous.
That's nuts. Oh, that's just. Oh, you're more than welcome, Dave. Dave Nesdahl was just sending a thank you message for allowing him to come on. It's like, of course.
Dude, we're just chilling, man. This is not serious. This is just a bunch of dorks talking about guitars.
Exactly. Yes, if you have any other questions, folks, we'll probably wrap it up in about 5 minutes or so. Can you believe we've already been going for 2 hours?
That long?
I know.
Like I said, it's like a couple of dudes sitting around the bar.
Yep. Exactly.
Usually the bar I go to doesn't have the Tony Awards playing in the background with Melissa dancing around behind.
Well, see, mine usually, and those are the type of bars I usually gig at, right? They still got the Tony Awards on the big screen behind the stage.
Yeah, but I'm cheating a little.
Perfect. Nothing wrong with that.
That's go great. Blues.
Bill Mosley Music says, time flies when you're with friends. That's right.
Totally, man. I do enjoy this. I like, obviously, you and I are friends. We know each other now for a bit. But I like talking to the cats that have questions or just the basic stuff. There's no stupid questions. There's nothing so basic. Never feel weird to ask a basic question. I get emails and texts and phone calls every day with the most basic questions that, like, some of these snobby type of guys would be like, what are you, stupid? I'm like, I didn't know this at one time. You know what? You got to help each other. You got to share the knowledge. And I'll take a step further. The next generation coming up, they don't do what we did. You know, we got a guitar magazine and we read about stuff. And then you saved money and you hung out at the music store and you bought a guitar. And then you had a little garage band with your friends from school. And, you know, and then you kind of moved along those circles and you went to shows. That's not happening now. It's just not there.
No, exactly.
You know, and a lot of
I just wanted to say he's headed out. He said, tell Adam, great chat. I'm looking forward to the release of the new guitar. He's one of the guys that I was telling you about off air. So, yes.
I'm working on that.
I will keep you in the loop, and I know you will know, Will.
Politics. If it were up to me, I would have had it 3 months ago.
That's right.
Politics. I'm working on it, but it will be here. And when it comes, I'll make the rounds. I'll come here. I'm gonna go chat with Mark, with Eric, with Johnny, with Dave, with all my friends.
Yep.
And we'll talk about the guitar. And you know, it's just.
Yeah, and I will say, folks, like, if you enjoyed tonight, check out last year's show too. I'm pointing back because it was a year ago. Originally last year when Adam was coming on, Dave Nesdahl was supposed to join us, but he was caught doing something else because, as these folks know, I was a diehard Telly player, and I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about with this guy who specializes in locking trem system, you know, but you put me at ease right away. You dumbed it down enough that I could understand it, you know, without talking down to me, which was awesome. And then, like I say, we kept in touch. We became friends after that night.
Absolutely. Dude, it's all about sharing it. And I know I sound like our metal hippie friend. I have a very peace and love hippie mentality of spread, not just for myself, but for guitar in general, for spreading that information and being uplifting to people who are in it. You know, I'm in New York half of my time where I'm at now, and I see a ton of guys on the street playing guitar, and I always stop and chat with them and, you know, throw a few bucks into their case. Kids, and I want to add one more thing here. I was just in Washington, D.C. with a delegation from NAMM, and this was my second year of being part of this delegation. And what we do, very interesting. If you look on my Twitter for most of this, we meet with Congress, we meet with our senators, congressmen, our governors about education funding. So, and the music and arts education is part of this package. You know, believe it or not, I'm wearing a suit, and I'm actually respectable, and I come off.
I saw the photos. Yes.
I come off like I know what I'm talking about. And education in the schools for music and arts. So there was a $1.65 billion package passed a couple of years ago, but the package has to be funded every year. So 3 years ago, the package was funded at something like 50 or 60 million dollars out of all this, or 100. It was like nothing. And then the first year we did it, we got the package up over $1 billion. We were, I don't want to say us single-handedly, but I'll take some credit with the team of delegates that NAMM selects to be part of this mission. And we went back this year looking for the last, 500 million and change for this. And we're in there fighting for this money and pushing to get it through. And it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. It has nothing to do with it. This is about education funding, music and arts. But that's the lead into the first day we're there, before we start meeting with our lobbying law firm and strategizing and breaking into our state team units to go meet with our thing. And we have 2 days of prep for that. We do something called a day of service, where we're on a bus and we go into the inner city and to schools with no money, no this, no that. And we help them with inventorying their instruments and fixing instruments and helping them. So this year we broke into 4 groups, and I was part of the guitar group, luckily. And we were giving guitar lessons to inner city kids and helping them. And I got to tell you, forget Congress, you're in the Capitol. You're rolling in SUVs. It's high level.
Right.
There's nothing better than being in this school with these kids and sitting there with them and going, you put your finger here, hold this, do that. And when they get it and they hit that chord and they go, oh my God, that's the sound you just made. And their faces light up. On my Facebook page for FU, there's an album. It'll say NAMM flying Washington, D.C. And you'll see the pictures from the day of service at the school, all the meetings and the government people. It's really a trip, but the kids and the next generation, we better get on this.
Yep.
We better get on this because it's different than it used to be.
Yeah.
We're losing something. So in any way that anyone could help. Like my little nephew, 13 years old, started playing guitar a couple years ago down in Florida. I helped him get him a guitar. He came up here. We built a guitar. We go to Guitar Center. We jam tunes. And he's into, he's like, hey, let me show you this Ozzy tune. I'm like, yeah.
Exactly.
But that's rare. That's rare to me. When we were kids, you'd go to school, and after school, everyone would sit around. There'd be 8 kids sitting there playing that Ozzy tune.
Yeah.
Teaching each other how to do it. Got to get the kids involved. Got to get them going again.
That's true. I fully agree. And I think that's a great way to end this on a positive note, if ever there's a positive note. So thank you very much, Adam, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate doing this. I appreciate your help, and I appreciate your friendship.
I couldn't say it any better myself. Right back at you on all fronts. Thank you, everyone that came in and watched tonight. It's been awesome. A lot of people watching tonight. That's awesome. Great to see. Thank you for all the thumbs ups. thank you very much for all the donations to the channel. Much appreciated. I know some of it's donated, directly towards the community projects. Other donations allow me to go and do things like Summer NAMM, cover these events for you folks. And I really do appreciate it. So, as I always say, folks, hold those doors open. Let that guy in ahead of you in traffic. Do good things, and good things will happen to you because karma is real. And I'm living the dream. Adam's living the dream. Go out there, do good things, and good things will happen to you, folks.
So,
Have a great day, and we will see you all in approximately 22 hours right back here for Canucks with Guitars.
nice. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everyone.